we're getting so that a normal single-family dwelling is actually unaffordable for almost any young couple or young family that wants to get started. So now they're allowing secondary suites and lane houses in the rest of Vancouver. Meanwhile, we're back where we've always been, 2 suites only. So a place like this, really what would make it affordable is if you were allowed a bit more density on this site. Like actually the law for rooming houses is, I forget exactly what it is, you're not really allowed to have a rooming house like this at all. I mean, this is an interesting point. I forget what the legal limit is for the number of rooms. I think you can only have, was it 4 people living together in separate rooms in a house or something like this? There's an enormous number of restrictions on what you can do. But this is an example of a house with, what, 7 rented rooms and 2 little suites in the basement. There's 9 separate units. In a relatively small house, it actually worked for the people that lived here.
It worked great.
It worked great. I mean, you might think it wouldn't work, but it actually does work. And so what that means is, it's about time we revisited some of these restrictive laws, which are quite old. And this is, you take a long, hard look at it. They want to densify with towers all over the place. Well, this is an alternative to towers, if you like, for density, but it also is a means of providing affordability to younger people who are trying to save up to buy a house. There are houses here that have 4 suites in them or 5 suites in them, and if you move in and rent 1 suite, or rent out the rest of the suites, live in 1 suite and rent out the rest when you're young, as you progress through life and have children, whatever, you can expand or shrink your usage of the house. And let's say you retire, your children are no longer in the house, you no longer have income. You probably want to move into a smaller part of the house, maybe the ground level, and rent out the rest. And it's fantastic to be able to go through your life and not have to move every 5 years. There's tremendous turnover in Vancouver as people move around as they get married or get divorced or have children or their kids go to college or they retire. They have to move every time. So, and that breaks up the continuity of a neighborhood. With building in more flexibility into particularly this residential area, would be better for the long-term health of the community, better in that you'd have more people who have been here a longer period of time, which is always a good thing, I think. It's just a good idea that needs taking a long, hard look at it right now because we're in the middle of the planning process. And the interesting thing about the planning process in Grandview is we've been working at it for 2 or 3 years. The city came out with their land use map last year. And of course, they surprised everybody by having towers over here and towers over there, which hadn't been talked about. But the part that nobody paid any attention to was this RT5 area from here east. This, looks like a single family residential area, but it's actually duplex. This part got left alone. It was completely untouched. Basically, nothing's going to change here. Well, it's not true. Nothing's going to change here. The zoning's the same. But what's happening is we're losing the truly affordable housing because the only thing allowed here is 2 suites. So what does that mean? It means you tear this down and build a duplex, and each half of the duplex will sell for $750,000. So for our friend here who just moved out of the house, where is he going to go? You're going to get 2 people moving in who are going to afford $750,000 to buy a place. There's going to be no rentals, and you're still looking for a place.
Still looking, and I'm looking at probably at least doubling what I was paying here.
To have
something about the same as what I've got here.
Yeah.
If not less, maybe. I mean, I've been looking and still haven't found anything affordability. Everything's at least $1,000. Where I was paying $600 here, which was like, it was beautiful. Yeah, it was beautiful.
Yeah,
I mean,
it works.
It's almost doubled, right? I mean, so, a 1-bedroom apartment is $1,200, and I'm looking for a bachelor, and that's $900 to $1,000.
Yeah, for a bachelor around
here. Exactly. And that was a bachelor what I had there. I had my own washroom. I had a beautiful gas stove, fridge, a little kitchen nook area, red brick fireplace, 2 huge windows, 14 high ceilings. Nice big room, and it was $600 a month. It was perfect.
And this is part of the reason why it's such a nice place. It's an older house. Houses they built 100 years ago. These houses.
The character of the winter times, I was so warm and cozy in there all winter. Yeah. It was gorgeous.
And a brand new place. Actually, you wouldn't be describing it like that. You'd probably be describing like a box with a low.
A box, man, with a low ceiling and little windows.
Plain walls and nothing really going on.
Yeah.
So it's amazing. The other thing about saving these old houses, they are heritage houses. They were built pretty well, almost 100% of old growth Douglas fir, the finest lumber in the world.
Yeah.
And it's all gone now, 99% gone.
Yeah.
And it's in these houses. We shouldn't be tearing them down. This wood is extremely valuable. A Douglas fir 2x4, if you want to buy one at Home Depot, is $25.
Yeah, oh yeah.
You can buy a regular 2x4
and those
for
beams
$2 or
right
$3.
there are gorgeous, you know. I mean,
So just about this being left untouched in the zoning process, now is the time to really revisit it, because the trend we're going in is come back in a couple of decades.
Wages are going down and cost of living is going up.
All the houses will be only for a very small part of the demographic, and I'll just make that point about Commercial Drive. One of the great things about Commercial Drive is the diversity here. We get every kind of this and every kind of that here.
Absolutely.
And part of that is rooming houses. And I'll just remind you, it wasn't very long ago, the 1930s, that rooming houses were very popular, very common. Nobody looked down their nose at them.
No.
They're kind of a negative thing now, because they're all being removed. Nobody's building new rooming houses. The old ones are running down and getting eliminated. But I think the whole idea should be revisited. People like to have their own place without having to spend $1,000 a month.
Exactly. I mean, if I, you know.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
If I can just remind everyone that on Wednesday night we have Patrick Condon and Richard Wozni coming to speak at Astorino's. Further to Bruce's comments, they're going to be talking about how we can achieve the kind of densification the city